What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down what you need to be a successful short wide receiver. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like to train with us this off season, we are going to be coming out to 10 more states across the country for 2-day long QB and wide receiver training camps. So next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to the DMV area. That camp is completely sold out. And then we'll be coming out to St. Louis, Missouri. We only have about 2 spots remaining in that camp. Then we'll be heading out to Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys want some more information on how you could sign up for one of our off-season 2-day QB and wide receiver camps, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out there, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first, we're going to be going over 5 key things that all short wide receivers need to be able to do. And number one, you need to be able to have route creativity. So I think, you know, as a shorter guy, undersized guy, and I feel like the criteria for a shorter wide receiver would be anything under 6 foot, especially if you guys want to play at that, next level, Division I level. The wide receiver position, like guys, you got 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". They're all big, they're all fast, they're all good route runners. But as a shorter guy, how can you separate yourself? And you look at all the best short guys in the NFL, like Julian Edelman's a great example. We're going to look at some Tank Dell film throughout this because he's, again, on the shorter side of things and on the skinnier side of things. They all are creative with their routes. They know how to get open. So I'm going to play a clip full speeder from Edelman, and then we'll break it down. So he comes off the route, and he's running a 10-yard, out route, maybe consider it like a sail route, if you will, but he's able to get some separation. But it's a creative way to get separation. But it comes from, route creativity comes from having a high football IQ. You have to understand why a DB's playing a certain way and why the way you're going to run the route, being creative to run the route, is going to get you separation. Now, the whole reason you want to be creative, because why wouldn't a tall guy also want to be creative? It's a way to stand out. So if you're a short guy and you want to play at the next level, you want to play at the collegiate level, and something that's important to play at the collegiate level is your film. So you need to have a great highlight tape. You need to be able to make big plays, and you need to be able to stand out amongst a crowd of people if you're in a camp, a showcase, or whatever it might be. So being creative with your routes is a great way to stand out because, again, not everybody can do that. You have to do things as a shorter guy to separate yourself, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So remember, he comes up to the line, DB's outside shade. He's got to run a 10-yard out. Now, a way that we talk about running this route is, okay, you want to go attack this DB's leverage. You want to widen him and take the inside release. DB's sole purpose in outside shade is to protect the outside and force you inside. So he will not let you get that outside release to where you can force it. Because if you force an outside release, especially as a smaller guy, you're going to get rerouted, jammed, and the whole timing and spacing of the play is going to be off. So you have to take what the DB gives you. So he goes to the inside. Now, again, he's not necessarily attacking his leverage, but this is where the creativity comes into the route. And Julian Edelman was one of the best at this. So he takes off to the inside, and he gives this little stutter move like he's going to slip under him, throw by, whatever it is, to get that DB to hesitate, stop his feet, and then he's able to work back over the top and stack. It's no different than attacking his leverage. It's just a way to get him to hesitate to the outside because he knows he's trying to protect the outside. So again, there's not one way to run every single route. There are many different ways to your routes. But again, being a creative route runner is what's going to make you stand out. Because everybody talks about it when you're trying to play at the next level of football, the eye test. Julian Edelman is not an eye test guy. He's short. They say 5'10", but he's probably even shorter than that. And I know a lot of you guys are probably around that size, maybe on the skinnier side. Fellas, you have to do something to stand out. And if you don't stand out by the way you run routes and create separation, you're not going to be able to play. Now, again, or you're not going to be able to get noticed. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to play this again full speed, and then we'll break it down. But the great part about being a creative route runner and being able to get separation is the game is changing. The wide receiver position, being a good route runner is starting to become more valuable because the way offenses are heading, right? Everybody in college is now running that air raid, throw the ball 40 times a game, offense, spread, RPO, a lot of empty formations. So you as a wide receiver are going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. And your ability to separate, your ability to beat a DB is going to be super, super beneficial for your game and how you can stand out on tape. So you have to be a good route runner, and creativity is where that comes from. So now, second thing I want to talk about here, and this is a clip here from Tank Dell. Now, Tank Dell is one of those guys, 5'10", might be less than that. He's not a very big dude, very thin, and that's everybody's big question about him. But what is one thing that he has? He has speed. right? So let's watch this route. And then there's two things that I want to talk about here with Tank Dell specifically. So number one is going to be his speed. And again, I know you can't really necessarily, tell too much, tell how fast he is in open space. But if you guys check out any of his film, the explosiveness, the quickness in and out of his cuts, the speed he has, his ability to cut while running full speed, all of those things is what a college coach wants to look for in a shorter guy. Because at the end of the day, you will not be able to play at the next level if you're short and if you're slow. That's just, you can't do it. It's impossible because, again, they're looking for big, like height is one of those things that you can't really control. One of the first questions that a recruiter will ask a coach is how tall is he? And then did he hold back? They're not really concerned about your weight because they know when you get to college, they're going to put weight on you. They're concerned about your height and then your speed on tape. Can you run fast? That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. Now, what can you do to get fast? If you guys have questions or would like to see any drills for how you guys can improve your speed, you can do at home, simple drills. Just shoot a comment in the comment section below. I'll send you guys a link to a separate video where you guys can work on some drills to help your speed improve. But you got to be doing things consistently to help your speed. In the gym, doing explosive movements. On the field, doing running mechanics exercises, running with sleds, running up hills. All of those things will make you faster and it will translate to game speed. Because that's the one thing that the film won't lie about. It will not lie when it comes to your speed. They will be able to tell if you have game speed. And I'm not even talking 40 time either. I'm talking about game speed. Because again, all that matters, especially when you're going from high school to college, they don't care about a self-reported 40 time. They care about how fast you are when the pads come on. Okay? Now, the second thing I want to talk about is technique. If you're going to be a short wide receiver, you need to make sure that you have good technique on this play. So Tank Dell's running a corner route, right? Now, when he gets up to this break here, I want to talk a lot about the details. These next two clips that we're going to show is going to be very much so about the details. So with your routes, you have to be extremely detailed as a short guy because that's the only way, again, you're going to stand out. The bigger 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver doesn't need to necessarily emphasize the details because he's got great size. They throw you a 50-50 ball and the DB's 5'10", that 6'4" guy's probably going to come down with the ball. But as a short guy, you need to separate, and details is how you separate. So I want to talk to you about restacking. So when he comes off on this route right here, DB's outside shade, he's got to run a corner. So obviously he attacks his leverage. This is very similar to that Edelman clip. He gives him a move outside, he takes this inside release. Now, the mistake that a lot of short guys do, because they're afraid to get jammed because they're on the smaller side, is that after release, they'll try to run away. They'll try to run away from the DB and they leave this big gap. But you see how Tank Dell, after the release, he's not afraid of the jam. He's got a plan with his hands. He's swatting his hands. And you want to go hip to hip with this DB. So you can get to him a point of restacking. You get him to where he is trailing your back hip. So now you have something called a two-way go. You could break to a post, you could break to a corner, you could break to a dig, break to an out. It could go either way because you stacked him. So this benefits you on any press coverage situation. So again, fellas, details is what will help you stand out as a wide receiver. So restacking is one of those things that you have to get comfortable with. Do not be afraid of the hand technique or DBs getting hands on you. Now, think about this. You see how Dell has just a very simple hand movement. He's not swatting with the offhand, dipping his shoulders, shooting his hand over. He just swats with his left hand. He sets this DB up to the outside, swats with the left hand. Because when it comes to hand technique, fellas, shorter guys, our game is not come off the line, try to engage, try to fight with the guy and shock release him. That's not our game. Our game is reacting and setting him up with my feet. So if he's outside leverage and you have to run a corner, we know what release are we going to take. We're going to take the inside release, right? So if I'm taking the inside release on a corner route, which hand do you have to beat to get off a press? Probably the inside hand, right? Who cares about his outside hand? If he gets hands on me, but I'm off the press, I did my job. Your separation comes with your stem, aka being able to restack, and the move you give at the top of the break, not necessarily what you do off the line. This is for spacing, and this is for timing. So when you come off the line and you attack him, and he shoots hands, just swat the inside hand. That's the only hand that you have to worry about. So what if he's able to recover? We already got up into the route, and we kept timing and spacing, like I said. Okay, fellas? So shorter guys, do not be afraid of the hand technique, and you have to have speed. There's three things right there already that short guys need to be able to play at the next level. Now we could get into the next clip. So one of the main things that you need as a shorter guy also is you need explosion with your cuts, and that comes down to, again, the details of route running. So explosive cuts is something that short guys have to have, because a lot of times shorter guys, they have speed, they're able to run hard, but like you look at the best, like Tyreek Hill's a great example. He is not a very big dude. but he's insanely fast, obviously, so he's got that working for him. But even guys who are fast, sometimes they struggle to change direction because they don't have explosive cuts. Maybe they don't have the right technique when they cut. But this example from Julian Edelman is a great example of having the correct cuts when you move. So let's play this full speed. So he comes off here, he hits him with this like wide step release, takes an outside release, and is able to get out. So a lot of times we talk about being able to get a DB to move off of his platform. And we say that, oh, you want to step outside of his frame. You want to make sure that you sell with your hips, sell with your shoulders. That's the only way this DB is going to move. So when Edelman throws this cut and sells to the outside, I want you to watch how far he steps, but he's still able to get some explosion and drive out of this cut. And that is simply because he doesn't have his toe too far turned open. So a lot of receivers, when they make their cuts, they'll reach outside their frame. They'll strike on their heel. They'll open up too far. And that makes them lose explosion out of that break. Guys will throw a cut, whether it's a crossover, whether it's a jab, whether it's this wide step release, and that toe, instead of being where it is with that shin, not caved in, but like the weight's distributed in, they will open up that toe and almost turn it towards the sideline, and their knee opens up, their hip opens up, and yeah, they might be selling it, but they can't get out of the break, and that takes away explosion. So this is through the same thing at the top of a post, off of the line on a release. You're doing any kind of move, any type of cut. You have to have the proper foot placement, and you got to have the proper foot strike. So when he cuts, that weight's distributed to the inside part of his foot because his toe is slightly open, not completely open. And that allows him to push off of that cut. When you make that cut, you want to push off of it to be able to generate power and speed back up into the release. Because those little details as a short guy, again, DBs are going to be bigger than us, more physical, especially if you got a linebacker, strong safety walk down trying to get hands on you. So you have to make sure that those little details like foot strike, foot placement, and drive off of the cut leg is you're going to rely on with your releases. We cannot be that guy who reaches way outside my frame and I don't have any power with what I'm trying to do. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. That's a great example here of another detail of route running that short guys need to have. Just explosive cuts, and explosive cuts come from your foot strike and your ability to have that correct foot placement. Okay, so this next example here from Julian Edelman, we cannot talk about shorter guys without talking about hands, right? So again, as a short dude, you're going to be in situations where you're coming over the middle because shorter guys like to play out of where? They play out of the slot, right? So you're not going to be an outside guy. You're probably going to be playing out of the slot if you're below that 5'11 range. I'm saying when you get to college, like maybe in high school, you're 5'10, they got you on the outside, great. But as a wide receiver, you got to be able to do both, number one. But number two, you're probably more so a slot at the next level. And don't worry about in terms of your film where like, oh, well, I'm an outside wide receiver, but I'm 5'10". Is a college coach still going to recruit me? He knows where you're going to fit into his offense. So if you're 5'9", but you're playing on the outside, he's probably going to recruit you regardless. But you probably will play slot at the next level. So something that can help you be able to stand out in that case is being able to make these tough catches in traffic. You got a DB on your hip. You know, as a smaller guy, guys always want to crack you over the middle. So something here you see from Edelman is when that ball comes, you see how he catches it with his body. Now that is day one, like every old school wide receiver coach will tell you, you should never catch the ball with your body because it's going to bounce off of your chest plate and you're not going to catch it. But you see so many NFL wide receivers do it. So why is that? If it's such a bad habit, why do the best guys, the top 32 guys in the NFL, why do they do it? And it's because when they're over the middle, you got freaking killers trying to take your head off, right? So you got to protect the ball. So a lot of shorter guys coming over the middle will do this type of catch to make sure that they secure that thing. Because if you catch the ball and you extend out with your arms and you reach out and you don't put this thing away right away violently, this DB's got a big, big chance, who's bigger than us and stronger than us, to knock the ball out or to hit me and knock the ball out. So that's why guys will do this. They call this being late with your hands. When you're over the middle, just like an over-the-shoulder pass, you want to be late with those hands so we can just secure the ball, put it away. So if I take a shot, I get hit by a bigger safety coming down, that ball is not going to pop out because I'm extended. Now, by no means am I saying to catch the ball with your chest like this. I would probably never personally teach this, but I would teach late hands. So rather than you extending out, because a lot of people say, oh, the ball's coming, you want to go reach the ball and meet the ball halfway. hey, let's just catch that ball within my frame. You could still use your hands. You don't have to let it bounce off your chest, but let's just be late with those hands. Catch it with your hands, but be late with the hands so you can put that ball away and secure it and not have somebody knock it out over the middle. And again, being consistent with your hands is another thing that you have to do as a shorter guy. Because if you lack height, it's so hard to stand out. But if you could have creative route running, you have speed, you pay attention to the details, you make explosive cuts, and you can make types of catches like this in traffic, that is how you can stand out on tape in any type of camp or showcase setting. So let's play this again from Julian Edelman one more time. Great job finishing that play while coming over the middle. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out to one of our 10 off-season camps in 10 more states across the country, we're coming out all the way through the DMV area to Los Angeles, California. So check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.